Welcome back to Rank and File Sports with Jonah and Connor. Today we're going to be continuing our schedule previews with the Texas A&M Aggies. We will be previewing every Power 4 team as well as a few Group of 5 teams, so please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on your favorite team's video as well as our official game-by-game predictions over the summer. Taking a look at the schedule, got a couple tough games on here, especially going at Notre Dame, as well as Florida at home, LSU on the road, Missouri on the road, Texas on the road, and South Carolina at home. A lot of tough road games, really. This is not an easy schedule at all. Going to give it an 8 out of 10 on the difficulty scale.
Yep, starting the season off, non-conference play against UTSA and Utah State, two games that the Aggies should have in hand very easily, 100% chance in both of those games. And then they go to South Bend to face the runner-ups in Notre Dame. This game should be close. If it's anything like last year's game, it should be another instant classic for these two teams. One that may end up shaping their college football playoff hopes, as it ended up doing for Notre Dame. But Notre Dame, after coming off that college football playoff run, should be set up more for success, especially with bringing in some of their five-star recruits, especially at quarterback. Even though they're losing some guys on their offensive line, they should be able to find good replacements for those. I do think that they'll have the advantage, especially with it being at South Bend. Marcel Reed might put up a good fight for the Aggies, but at the end of the day, Notre Dame should be the favorites and will probably come out with a win, giving A&M a 30% chance to get the win here going into their first bye week.
After that, SEC play doesn't actually start off too terribly. You got Jackson Arnold and the Auburn Tigers coming to town. That should be close for maybe a half, but in the end, I think A&M pulls away. About a 70% chance for an Aggies victory. And then the worst team in the SEC last season, probably going to be again this year. Mississippi State going to give the Aggies a 90% chance of a home win there. Before things get a little bit tougher, you got DJ Lagway and Florida going to Texas A&M. Should be a really good game, honestly. We're pretty high on this Florida team. Go check out our Florida predictions video if you haven't done that yet. But we really like DJ Lagway. We think he's going to have a really solid season. And just overall, this is a really underrated Florida team. So we actually have them favored over Texas A&M on the road, about a 40% chance for an A&M win before they head off to their first two SEC road matchups. Going to Arkansas, not going to be quite as difficult. Arkansas pulled off a few upsets last season, including the most impressive one, which was over Tennessee. So we have this at about a 70% chance for A&M because they are still better than the Razorbacks. And then finally, you got a road trip to LSU. That's going to be a really good game. You got Garrett Nussmeier as one of the early Heisman favorites for the Tigers. LSU should be the home favorites here and got pretty good odds of getting a win at about 60% for the LSU Tigers. And then A&M heads off to their second bye week.
Coming out of that bye week, they will face the Missouri Tigers. Mizzou is losing both their starting quarterback in Brady Cook and their star wide receiver in Luther Burden. It's expected to go in the first round in the NFL draft. Texas A&M should be the favorites in this game. Last season, Texas A&M blew out Missouri at home, beating them, I believe, 41 to 19, something like that. Now it is at Mizzou. Don't think that the Tigers will be as competitive as they were last year. I already thought compared to 2 seasons ago, they were going to be a step back and quite honestly, I was surprised they were ranked in the top 25 several times last year. I thought they just got in based off of the previous season. So giving A&M a 65% chance to get a win on the road. Then at home against the Gamecocks of South Carolina. If you've watched your South Carolina video, we also think very highly of this South Carolina team. Much like Florida, they are a very young team with a lot of explosive weapons, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. This is going to be one of those games that is going to determine who is going to be one of those 12 teams in the college football playoffs, I think. Both these teams might not be in contention for the SEC title. Maybe it's locked up by Texas and Georgia at this point, but this could be a difference maker in determining playoff resumes. And we are giving the edge slightly to South Carolina in this one, even though it is at Kyle Field, giving A&M a 45% chance in this game. But mark this game in your calendars because this is going to be an instant classic. Then one more non-conference game against Samford, 100% chance here they will be the better team. This is kind of a nice break in between the South Carolina game right before their big rivalry game at Texas. Texas obviously has Arch Manning stepping in as their starting quarterback. Lots of hype around him after being the backup for Quinn Ewers last year and actually getting to start a few games while Ewers was out with an injury. It should be once again just like any other Texas A&M game, very competitive, very hard to predict who will come out on top. Obviously Texas got the win last year in a very low scoring affair. I believe the score was 17-7 or something like that. I'm expecting fireworks this year. I think both these offenses are going to be very explosive with sophomore quarterbacks at the helm with Arch Manning and Marcel Reed. Giving this a 50-50 shot just because it is rivalry week, even though Texas A&M will be going on the road. I think they're going to be looking for a huge win to finish off the year, and they'll be coming for blood in this one. So 50% chance for A&M to get a victory.
Yeah, there's just so many tough games this season. Uh, I'm seeing six, 7 games that are within a 70% chance to 30% chance, that range. So I'm thinking A&M probably only wins 3 or 4 of those. So I'm thinking 8-4 or 9-3 personally.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Unless Marcel Reed has as big of a breakout season as we're thinking DJ Lagway will have, then I don't see them winning all of those big games or maybe not even half of them. I do think that 3 losses, maybe even 4 losses, is where we'll see them at. Just depends on what they get with those matchups. If Marcel Reed can make that next step and keep A&M competitive. If A&M can get a big win over Texas and LSU, I'd have a tough time leaving them out, especially with the consideration that Texas will most likely be a top 5 team by the end of the season. It's going to be an interesting season for the Aggies. I could see them going with 4 losses or 3 losses is where I think they'll ultimately end up. But it wouldn't really surprise me if they did better than that.
Yeah, I think a 10-2 A&M is in no matter what. And 9-3, you definitely have an argument to make the college football playoffs. Looking at last season, the Aggies did go 8-5, and that's actually right where the projected win total has them. 8 wins and 4 losses in the regular season. Now, our prediction, we're going to go ahead and go with 9-3, splitting all of those 50-50 games right down the middle. The Vegas over-unders at 7.5 with a slight favor to the over. So it looks like Vegas is leaning more towards 8-4. We're just a little bit higher on Texas A&M. So give us the Aggies at 9-3. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.